There's something fascinating about female psychology. Women don't fall for a man because of his looks, money, or status alone. They melt for something far more subtle, far more emotional. And today, I want to break down the psychology behind two words that have the power to soften even the strongest, most independent woman. Not because those words are magical, but because they satisfy a psychological need women rarely receive in this fast, noisy world. Women crave emotional safety, not in a childish way, but in a deeply biological way. For thousands of years, the female brain evolved to search for a man who understood her world, her emotions, and her fears. She doesn't want a perfect man, she wants a present man. A man who listens without interrupting, who sees without assuming, who understands without accusing. And those two words that melt her heart. I understand. Not calm down. Not you're overthinking. Not it's not a big deal. Those phrases close a woman's heart instantly. But when a man looks at her, really looks, and says, I understand, everything inside her shifts. Why? Because these two words validate her emotional reality. They tell her, you don't have to fight me. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to be strong right now. And when a woman feels emotionally safe, her walls fall, her softness returns, her femininity flows, her heart opens. These two words activate a part of the female brain connected to bonding and trust. When she feels understood, her nervous system calms down, her stress levels drop, her ability to connect skyrockets. She feels seen, and being seen is one of the deepest needs in feminine psychology. Women don't melt because a man agrees with her. They melt because he connects with her, because he shows emotional intelligence, because he demonstrates maturity instead of ego. When a woman is upset, she isn't always looking for solutions. She's looking for connection. And when you say, I understand, you are telling her, your feelings matter. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. In a world where most men rush to argue, correct, or dismiss, a man who understands becomes unforgettable. A man who listens becomes irresistible. A man who sees her becomes irreplaceable. Women respond deeply to emotional safety because their psychology prioritizes connection over confrontation. And to understand this fully, you have to first understand the emotional architecture of the female mind. Women are not wired like men. Their biology, their experiences, and their emotional nervous system operate on a completely different rhythm. For a woman, connection is not just something she wants, it is something she needs for emotional balance. From childhood to adulthood, women develop stronger neural pathways for empathy, communication, and emotional interpretation. This means they feel more, notice more, and internalize more. And because of this heightened emotional awareness, the feeling of safety becomes a core foundation of how they give, receive, and maintain love. Emotional safety does not mean that a woman is fragile. It means she evolves through connection. When a woman feels understood, her body releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This hormone makes her more trusting, more open, and more comfortable being her authentic self. When she doesn't feel safe, her brain enters a state of emotional defense. She may withdraw, shut down, argue, or distance herself, not because she doesn't care, but because she doesn't feel protected emotionally. Men often misunderstand this. They think a woman is being dramatic, moody, or overreacting, when in reality, she is responding to a lack of safety in the relationship dynamic. For women, emotional safety is built through consistent actions, calm communication, and empathy. When a woman shares her feelings, she is not just talking, she is testing the emotional environment. She wants to see whether you are a man who listens or a man who dismisses, whether you're a man who supports or a man who competes, whether she can soften in your presence or whether she needs to stay guarded. Every woman has been misunderstood at some point in her life. Many have been judged, ignored, invalidated, or told they're too emotional. These experiences shape how she expects men to respond. So when she meets a man who creates emotional safety, her entire psychology shifts. She feels a rare comfort, a rare acceptance, a rare peace. The female mind interprets tone and energy more strongly than actual words. A woman can feel your sincerity before she hears your sentences. If your tone is aggressive, dismissive, or impatient, she can sense it instantly. But if your tone is calm, patient, steady, and gentle, her body relaxes, her emotions settle, her mind opens. When a man offers emotional safety, he is telling her, without saying it directly, you are safe with me. You don't have to fight. You don't have to defend. You don't have to hide. And the moment she feels this, she begins to trust him on a deeper level. Women value connection because it helps regulate their emotional world. They bond through communication, shared experiences, and emotional understanding. This is why women want to talk about their feelings. They're not complaining, they're connecting. A woman's psychology is also built on intuition. Her emotional radar is sharp. She can sense when something is off. She can pick up changes in your energy, your attention, and your emotional availability. When a man becomes distant, defensive, or emotionally unavailable, she feels it instantly, even before he says a word. This is why emotional safety is so important. It stabilizes her intuition. It tells her, you don't have to be on alert. You can relax. You can trust. Women flourish when they feel emotionally secure. Their softness shines. Their nurturing energy comes forward. Their communication becomes clearer and kinder. Their willingness to give increases. Emotional safety also affects how a woman reacts during disagreements. When a woman feels safe, she communicates gently. When she doesn't, she may become reactive or emotional. It's not because she wants to argue, but because she feels unheard or invalidated. A man who understands this can transform the entire relationship dynamic. Instead of fighting fire with fire, he learns to stay calm. Instead of taking things personally, he listens. Instead of trying to fix everything, he acknowledges feelings first. This simple shift can melt tension, build trust, and create deeper intimacy. Women also respond strongly to a man's emotional leadership. Emotional leadership does not mean dominance. It means being grounded, patient, and present even when emotions rise. It means offering stability, not control. It means guiding the conversation with calmness instead of reacting with ego. When a man shows emotional leadership, he signals strength, not physical strength, but psychological stability. Women melt for this kind of strength because it represents protection, understanding, and emotional maturity. Women attach themselves to men who provide emotional consistency, not perfection, not endless romance, not constant attention, consistency. Emotional safety is one of the biggest keys to a woman's heart. When she feels safe, she becomes loyal, affectionate, giving, and deeply committed. When she doesn't feel safe, she becomes guarded, distant, and uncertain. A woman's love expands in environments where her emotions are respected, and the man who understands this is the man she respects, admires, and emotionally invests in for the long term. Two sincere words can unlock a woman's trust when they validate her feelings rather than challenge them, and understanding why requires looking deeply into how the female emotional system is built. Women are naturally sensitive to emotional cues because their brains are wired to search for understanding and emotional connection. When a man uses words that validate rather than dismiss, a woman's inner world shifts instantly. She feels seen, heard, and emotionally acknowledged. And for women, acknowledgement is one of the strongest forms of emotional intimacy. Many men underestimate how powerful emotional validation is, but in female psychology, it is one of the keys that opens the door to trust, vulnerability, and long-term attachment. When a woman shares her feelings, she's not always looking for a solution. She's not always asking the man to fix anything. What she truly wants is emotional recognition. She wants to know that her feelings matter, even if they don't make sense to him. When a man responds with validating words, her body releases oxytocin, lowering stress and increasing the feeling of closeness. When he responds with dismissiveness, judgment, or irritation, her brain interprets it as emotional danger. This is why arguments escalate quickly when a man tries to correct, debate, or minimize her emotions. Women don't react to the logic of the moment. They react to the emotional tone behind it. Two sincere words, when said honestly, carry more emotional weight than a full paragraph because they show emotional presence. They tell her she is not alone in her feelings. They tell her that her emotions are not a burden. They tell her she is with a man who respects her emotional experience. Validation does not mean agreeing with everything she says. It simply means recognizing her emotional reality. When she hears a validating phrase like, "I understand," "I'm here," "I get you," or "I care," it signals to her nervous system that she is safe. And safety is the foundation upon which all female emotional attachment is built. Women melt for validation because it resolves one of their deepest fears, the fear of being misunderstood or emotionally abandoned. Women store emotional memories more deeply than men. If she feels misunderstood repeatedly, she internalizes it as rejection. She may withdraw, shut down, or become emotionally cold, not because she wants to hurt the man, but because she's protecting her inner world. A validating man prevents this emotional withdrawal by creating a space where she can express herself without fear of judgment. He becomes her emotional safe zone, someone she can trust with her deepest thoughts and vulnerabilities. And that trust is what makes a woman attach on a deeper level. Female psychology is built on emotional resonance. Women connect through shared emotional experiences, not just shared activities. This is why conversations matter so much to them. When a man listens actively, responds sincerely, and uses validating words, she feels emotionally synchronized with him. It's like tuning into the same frequency. Once that emotional frequency is aligned, her guard drops and her softness emerges naturally. She no longer feels the need to defend or explain everything. She feels understood without effort. Validation also influences how a woman perceives masculinity. Contrary to popular belief, emotional validation does not make a man appear weak. In fact, it does the opposite. A man who validates shows control over his emotions. He demonstrates emotional intelligence, maturity, and self-awareness. Women respect men who have the strength to stay calm in emotional situations. They admire men who don't get defensive. They trust men who can handle their emotional waves without collapsing or exploding. Validation turns emotional storms into moments of connection instead of conflict. For many women, emotional validation is more intimate than physical affection. A man may touch her body, but validation touches her soul. It tells her she is not too much, not too emotional, not too complicated. She feels accepted, valued, and emotionally held. Women melt for two sincere words because sincerity is rare. Many men listen only to respond. Few listen to understand. When she finds a man who understands, she doesn't forget him easily. He becomes the one she trusts during her vulnerable moments. The one she turns to when she's overwhelmed. The one whose presence calms her. Validation also strengthens a woman's sense of partnership. It makes her feel that the relationship is not a battlefield, but a team effort. She feels that the man is not trying to win the argument, but trying to understand the emotion behind it. This changes everything. Instead of shutting down, she opens up. Instead of withdrawing, she leans in. Instead of feeling alone, she feels supported. And a supported woman becomes a loving woman. She gives more, cares more, and invests more emotionally. Two sincere words can melt a woman because they represent emotional clarity. They cut through confusion, fear, insecurity, and misunderstanding. They tell her she matters. They tell her she is valued. They tell her she is emotionally safe. And when a woman feels safe, she becomes her most loving, beautiful, feminine self. A man who understands this doesn't need to argue, impress, or dominate. He just needs to communicate with intention, empathy, and sincerity. Women melt for validation.